Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Sci-Fi Podcast in between season content. Believe it or not, we recently wrapped up season 6 and are doing something entirely new this time. But before we get into that, please like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel and the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. If that platform lets you leave reviews, please, oh pretty please, oh please do that, or comment either on YouTube or on Spotify. And yes, Spotify has a feature that allows you to comment on podcasts right on their platform. It's pretty cool. Doing these things helps us get discovered by other fans just like you. And fans like the people who we'll be chatting with in our in-between season content. And this time around, we have someone from the great state of Ohio, just like me, and a good buddy of mine, and another original listener to the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, one of the early adopters. And friends, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my buddy, my pal, the one and only Todd VanGorder. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, guys. Thanks so much for having me. It's a real treat.
I'm so excited you're here, pal.
Well, let's start with the first question.
To make your acquaintance.
Let's jump right in. What do you got?
Well, let's jump right in. The first thing we absolutely have to know are, what are your top fandoms?
Well, of course, if I'm a fan of, the Big Sci-Fi Podcast.
Thank you.
All right. I got to be a Star Trek fan, right? I mean, probably Star Trek is certainly the top. I also thoroughly enjoy Star Wars, so there's just as much love to go around there.
Nice.
The third one, that was probably one of the toughest ones to come out. There is so much good sci-fi out there today, guys. We are really spoiled. I mean, I thought about Battlestar Galactica, Babylon 5. I was a big X-Files fan for years. But after talking with my family and friends, they wouldn't be happy with me if I didn't have to say that I do have a love for, yes, it only lasted one season, but Firefly.
I thought you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say that. Yes.
Yeah.
Shiny.
Yeah. Brown coats, baby. So, but and in the questions you guys asked me, how did I first discover them? And I think Star Wars. I laugh because I listen to Steve on you guys' broadcast. Steve always says, "I was there. I saw the first TV show. I was at the movie theater."
Somebody posted online on Facebook a photo of a line of people waiting to see Star Wars, and the caption is, "This is how your grandparents saw Star Wars."
Right.
No. I actually saw it at a drive-in movie theater.
Really?
So I don't even remember what the double feature was because we didn't stick around for it, but we were there, and it was 1977. It was fantastic. And then Star Trek. I really didn't get into that. I was in Star Wars before I started watching Star Trek. And that was back in the 80s. I actually played a game, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but it was called Starfleet Battles by Task Force Games. And it was based in the Star Trek universe. And I found the game so compelling that I wanted to learn more about Star Trek. And so that's when I really kind of started watching the original series and got enamored with it. So when the Next Generation came out, which is my personal favorite of all of the incarnations, man, I was ready and raring to go.
Todd and myself, and we drag our wives along sometimes. Todd and his wife Jody are great friends of ours, and we have a love of board games. So whenever we get together, it almost always includes a board game, and we have on occasion played Star Trek Catan, which, if you're a Star Trek fan and a Settlers of Catan fan, you've got to check that out. It's really fun. It's a different spin on the Catan playing. But Todd, you and I had an experience at GalaxyCon together in Columbus a couple years ago.
Yeah.
We got to meet Shatner briefly, and John Delancey, Gates McFadden, and Jonathan Frakes very briefly for a photo op. But we had a lot of fun. Have you met anybody else, or do you have any cool stories about actors from sci-fi that you've met?
Well, since you mentioned that trip, one of the gentlemen that was there, an actor that was there that I had met one other time, and have had conversations with was Corbin Burnson.
Oh, yes.
Really?
So, and we went up and talked to him a little bit. In fact, I don't know if you remember the conversation, Brian, but I think he was tickled pink that of all of his movies and productions he's done, I asked him about 25 Hill, which is kind of an obscure movie. But, for us in Northeast Ohio, it was shot in Akron, Ohio. Okay. And Corbin not only starred in that, but he was like producer, director.
The Soapbox Derby, right?
Yeah,
the All-American Soapbox Derby.
Yep. Soapbox Derby. And so I thought it was a pretty decent movie. And Corbin was pretty impressed that that was the one I picked out. But yeah, it was fun talking to Corbin. That was the second time I've met him in person. So
nice. He was pretty approachable, as I recall.
Yeah. That's what I love about the conventions. These guys, they all set up their tables, they have their memorabilia and stuff. And obviously the big name actors and stuff, they draw a crowd, but you have the tables with like Terry Farrell and Corbin and stuff like that. You just walk right up and have a conversation with these people. It's if you haven't had a chance to go to a convention, I know all you guys have.
Right.
But that's what makes it, I think, so special, just to get a chance to see these people face to face, and then some surprises. I mean, we saw Jodie Whittaker, I think, on stage, and I'm not even a big Doctor Who fan, but she was just charming. I love that part of that convention.
Stole the whole weekend show for me. I mean, she was so good.
Was that your first convention going off with Brian, or?
It was the first convention that I had gone with Brian, yes. And I don't want to steal Brian's thunder.
It was my first
Brian
convention.
Told me it was just his first convention.
Wow.
What was your first?
My first one was probably back in, I would say, probably about 1989, 1990. It was just here in Cleveland, Ohio, and Patrick Stewart was probably the big draw there. And I'm dating myself. This goes back to where you go to the conventions, you didn't always have to pay for a autograph. And so not only was Patrick Stewart there signing autographs for free, and there was a huge, huge line. He stayed until everybody that wanted an autograph got one.
That's great.
And that just resonated with me. It just speaks to what a great guy Patrick is. Sir Patrick Stewart.
Right.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
That reminds me, how does an Englishman say hello to a three-headed monster?
I don't know.
Hello. Yeah, anyways. All right.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. He's on your show, guys. What can I say?
And we love him. I
haven't told a good dad joke in quite a while, so I feel like I had the freedom. So, I'm really interested in this question, Todd, because I have kids that know a lot about Star Trek, but it's not their first, even science fiction. It has to be kind of really in there. It's got to have a lot of action, and it's got to be geared towards them for sure. But any of your fandoms, it doesn't have to be Trek. Is there any particular season, episodes you know of where you would introduce brand new fans to? And I'm not sure we've asked this question thus far.
I don't think so.
That's a great question. It's one that I actually gave a lot of thought to when I was reviewing your questions ahead of time. And ironically, my 6-year-old grandson, I just found out this week, was being introduced to one of my favorite fandoms, and I'm a little sad that I wasn't there, but I'm looking forward to talking to him about it. And that was Star Wars.
Nice.
And I honestly think Star Wars is a good one to start with. I think that there's a lot of fun things in Star Wars that are geared more toward attracting the imagination of younger children. I know it did for me when I first saw it when I was 7. And so I think if I was going to introduce him, I'd just start right back where I started. A New Hope,
correct order.
The first movie.
And
we'd go right into that, and then right into Empire, one of my personal favorites, and then of course the Empire. Ewoks and
so chronological order and how they came out, right? The way we saw it,
like release order. Yeah, it's critical.
Is this your one and only grandchild? Do you have any other grandkids?
I have 2 1-year-old grandchildren as well. They're all boys. They're all going to be Star Trek and Star Wars fans. Grandpa's going to make sure.
Can you keep us posted?
But the 6-year-old he's getting right there at that special age where I think he'd appreciate watching it. So
you have to let us
my
know
older
how
son
it goes. because I need all the hacks for when I have kids, and that will be happening. And our mission will be to get them into some kind of fandom.
It's really easy, Chris. You just give a kid candy and say, if you want this candy, sit down and watch this, and they'll watch it.
That's not bad.
And then they might catch it. They might go, oh, I'll do this next time without the candy. Or you might have to give them candy into Affinity. And so then
every time.
Well, I can tell you,
Star Trek's going to be trickier. I think they got to be just a little older.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I mean,
it's a mix because like my older son, I mean, he's been watching it on and off his entire life, but hasn't really gotten into it except for Lower Decks. He loves Lower Decks. But again, he's 14.
Yeah.
My younger one, who's almost 6, he was watching Prodigy with me, but I was watching Prodigy and he was just like he was there. But he realized, in the last year or so that if he wants extra TV time and doesn't want to watch something, he's going to say, Mommy, can we watch Star Trek? And it kind of works.
Yeah. I wish my kids would do that.
And so he sat through and watched some original episodes and Star Trek 4, the one with the whales. And he sat there and he watched the whole thing.
I was going to say Star Trek 4 is an excellent choice.
That's my favorite Trek. That's my favorite movie of all time. So
we know that.
I've heard.
Yeah, so you've heard.
I loved your ranking episodes. Very fun to listen to.
I forget. It's like it's so cool that you're like, oh yeah, you're familiar with our lore because you've listened to all of it.
Well,
I can't say I've seen or listened to every one of your guys' episodes, but I'm probably about a strong 80-85%.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. But I'll tell you, Todd, my grandson is 6 years old. His father loves Star Wars, so he grew up watching Star Wars. But then early this year, my daughter sent me a picture of him staring at the TV watching Star Trek 4. So this past Christmas, I gave him a book, Who is Captain Kirk?
Yes,
because I thought
I have that book.
This is about the time when they're old enough to get into Star Wars. Star Trek. Besides Star Wars, yeah. You're doing good.
What other? We got a couple more minutes, guys. What other questions would you guys like to ask my good buddy Todd?
Go ahead.
I
gotta ask my favorite food questions. Do you have a
We're
food
going off
you
script.
Like
I was gonna say I don't remember a food question in here. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm just always so curious with other fans. Like, do you have a particular food that you like to eat when watching Trek or Star Wars or any of those fandoms?
Well, I just like to eat. Brian will tell you that. Definitely wings, right, Brian?
Yes.
Okay.
We've had a few joint sessions of some Star Trek watching where we're pounding down some wings. But I guess it depends on what I'm watching. I mean, if I'm watching the Klingons and they're eating gok, then I kind of gravitate towards spaghetti.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah. All right.
So the question I
made us that wasn't I wasn't ready for that one.
It's okay.
That was great. That was great. That's great. You got it. You win. Well, hold on. 1 point for Todd. There you go.
Yeah. So the question that I'm really curious about is if you could create a spin-off of any of the series or movies, any, whether it's Trek or not, what would you like to see next? That comes out
guys,
of any
that's
of your
the
fandoms?
easiest one. Star Trek Legacy.
Okay, fair.
Come on, man. I mean, that's it. I mean, they've teed it up, but I mean, I don't know if you call that a spinoff, but man, I like I said, I was a big Next Generation fan, so I was a huge fan of Star Trek Picard and certainly season 3. And to just see him grab a hold of that with some of those characters that they developed further and introduced to us, I just think that watching Raffi and the
7 of 9,
Captain 7. I mean, I think that would just be fantastic. So that's the top of my wish list.
Let's go. Yeah.
Okay. Guys, I think we have time for one more question.
Okay.
Ooh.
Who wants to ask it?
Who's your favorite host of the big? I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
No.
Adina.
Adina. Yes. Very good. Very good.
There we go.
Right answer.
Good.
That's
answer.
the right
We should
answer.
just end there.
Well,
mic drop.
I know. Exactly.
Steve, you got something?
I know. I was going to say, to me, I mean, Brian is our captain. He has been the captain of the ship for a long time. Adina is our technical officer. Cris is our emotional officer, and me, I'm that guy, as I always say, in the red shirt that just doesn't seem to make it past the first commercial break. But what's most important to us is people like yourself who enjoy our show. We hope we're connecting. They always say if you connect with one person, you've accomplished it, and I know we have done that with you, Todd, I believe.
It's like if what the image that you guys were trying to make of just a bunch of friends sitting around the couch talking about sci-fi. I feel like most episodes when I listen to that, it's like I've pulled up a chair and I'm sitting right there with you. So you guys do a really fantastic job of that. And thank you for letting me be this, just a small part of your show. And again, congratulations on 6 fantastic seasons. And I can't wait to see what you bring for season 7. I will let you know that every once in a while I get little hints from a certain Brian Donahue. He's like, guess who we're interviewing tonight? I'm like, I'm so jealous.
And as we say to all the people who follow us, if you have suggestions, let us know. We would love to. I mean, we have 120 years worth of movies, 7 years worth of TV, centuries of written documents. So, give us, we love to have ideas where to go with the next episode of the big sci-fi podcast. Thank you.
All right. My friend Todd, thanks so much for being on the show. Maybe it won't be the last time either. This is pretty fantastic. Todd's got a vast knowledge of Star Trek, guys. It's quite impressive. And don't forget to hit that like button, that share button. Share this with all of your friends all over the world, would you please? We're ranking pretty high in Sri Lanka these days, guys. I think we broke through the top 50 in Sri Lanka. So that's awesome.
I think
go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's Arthur C. Clarke's people are behind us in Sri Lanka.
All right, there you go. Enough said. And stay tuned for the next exciting in-between episode of the Big Sci-Fi Podcast Shorts.
Ain't nobody gonna run the race for you. Nobody really cares if you win or lose. You better wake up now, you got things to do. You'll be running around, maybe trying to find a little piece of love, a little piece of mind, but all you really done is waste your time. And everyone is gonna love the way that you do it. You need to know what you want and then get to it.